M&P 2.0 with the new red dot. Oh, I'm gonna be spoiled with that. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Today we are finally getting to the end of the build series on my Custom M&P 2.0, and I am very excited about that because if you don't know or you don't remember, I ran into a bit of a glitch. When I sent this slide off to get it milled and Cerokoted, the United States Postal Service lost it. And unfortunately, even though I insured it for $300, they denied my insurance claim. Then they didn't send me the correct paperwork to be able to file an appeal. So, in my opinion, they still owe me about $240 because that's what it cost me to replace the slide and the striker block that I'd already installed from Apex Tactical. But let's get to the good part. What actually is done, because it turned out fantastic. And I'd like to show you guys all what I did there. But first, I want to thank everyone that is subscribed to the channel. I want to thank everyone that leaves me a comment. If you notice, I do get back to every single one of those. And I want to thank every one of you that watches my videos, that shares them, that drops me a like. It's really appreciated. And it helps spread the Second Amendment to more people. So it's greatly appreciated. So getting right down to it, I bought this M&P 2.0 a little over a year ago. I've put a lot of rounds through it already, but I had kept it stock for a long time while I was building out my ARs, buying more firearms, acquiring AKs, 1911s, other things like that. And I wasn't giving it the attention that it deserved. You see, I love this M&P 2.0. This is the 4¼ inch barrel, 17 round capacity M&P 2.0, and it's a fantastic pistol. It's basically a competitor with the Glock 17 as far as size and capacity goes. It's a 9mm polymer frame striker fired pistol, and there's just a lot of great things about the 2.0. The grip texture is amazing. It is really easy to get a good grip on this gun. Besides that, it's got a steel insert in the frame, if you want to call it that, that just helps keep the thing from flexing and stuff like that. It's got a grip angle that I just tend to like better than Glocks. It's 18 degrees, and to me it's just very comfortable and pointable. And it's just a fantastic, really reliable, and attractive firearm. So I was drawn to it almost immediately when I first got into guns. But it took me a long time to get started on really making it mine. And when I finally decided to do that, I started a build series here on YouTube. And the first episode was the installation of this, the Apex Tactical flat face trigger. And it is an amazing trigger. If you look at this, take up, it's fairly short and very, very smooth. Extremely crisp break. Very short reset, and it's right at the wall to break again. You can run this trigger really fast, and it makes me more of an accurate shooter because the trigger just doesn't give you any opportunity to pull your shots off. So I absolutely love this trigger. And that was part 1 of the build series, and I invite you to go back and watch that video. If you have an M&P 2.0, if you're only going to do one thing to it, I recommend the Apex Flatty. It is a game changer. But so after that, I plan on doing this whole build series. So the next thing was to send the slide off and get it milled for an optic, because this was not an optic ready gun when I purchased it. So I bought the optic. I bought a Holosun 407K, and there's a reason for that. I'll go into it in a minute. And I sent my slide off to get milled in Cerokote by a company called NCEngravers. And I paid for the insurance. I paid for the expensive shipping. I got an email saying that it should have arrived there. And I got an email from NCEngravers saying that the package arrived empty. So that kind of stressed me out. It took weeks for that package to come back, and it looked like it got ran over with a forklift. Now, I filed the insurance claim, which I paid extra money for, and the United States Postal Service denied that. The local postmaster is helping me try to get an appeal done, but it's been months now, and I felt like I owed you guys a video because it was a build series that had gotten started, but also, this is my primary pistol. This is probably the first thing I'm going to go to in a home defense type of situation. So I couldn't really be out my primary gun. Now, I did do a video where I did the unboxing of the optic, and I mentioned in that video the importance of having a backup gun just for a situation such as that where my primary was down. So I invite you to go watch that video as well. I'll put a link in the comment or in the description. But anyway, eventually I got sick of waiting to get my money back from the Postal Service. I ordered a brand new OEM slide from Ed Brown. Ed Brown makes the fueled series M&Ps, and they also make fantastic 1911s. So I got a new slide for it, but because I'd installed the Apex trigger, part of what makes the magic of this trigger is the striker block. The Apex striker block really helps smooth up that trigger pull, because part of what happens when you're during the take up of your trigger pull is that the bar is pushing up on that striker block so that your striker can go forward and fire the weapon. And that's one of the safeties of your gun, and one of the reasons that the Apex trigger is so good, because it maintains all those safeties. But when I got the new slide, it had the original striker block in it, and so the trigger was gritty. It still had that really crisp break and short reset, but the take-up was gritty. And having already replaced it, the trigger, and gotten kind of spoiled with it, I wasn't happy with that, so I had to get a new striker block too. So eventually, I got the new slide, I got the new striker block, I sent it back to NCEngravers, and this time it worked out just fine. And I want to give a shout out to the guys at NCEngravers. For one, they did fantastic work, and we'll go up close in a second and show you what it looks like. But for two, because of the whole trouble that I went through, and we had emails back and forth the whole time, they told me they would put me at the front of the line once I finally had a slide to send them, and they did just that. I sent them the slide, and it was a matter of days before it was done and on its way back to me. So I really appreciate that. For all your slide work needs, NCEngravers does amazing work, and I guarantee that I'll use them again in the future. They do just incredible custom slide work. You should definitely check them out. Custom M&P 2.0. It's getting there. Oh, I like it. So besides getting the slide milled, the optic that I got is the Holosun 407K. And I got this optic for a specific reason. One of the things that they offer at NCEngravers, if you're getting your slide, direct milled for an optic, you can get this 407K, and it sits deep enough in your slide that you could still co-witness your iron sights. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but you don't have to get suppressor height or lower 1/3 co-witness sights. You can keep your stock iron sights and still co-witness through the optic, which, having spent an extra $240 on a slide and a striker block that I shouldn't have needed, I wanted to save money where I could. And that's part of the point of this channel, is to bring you guys quality, affordable, reliable gear. So that was why I went with the 407K. The other thing about it, Holosun makes fantastic, reliable optics, and the 407K is fairly affordable. It was like 230 bucks. So 230 bucks for a good quality optic. It has 50,000 hours of battery life. It's waterproof. Let me see, there's just tons of features of it. It's a 6 MOA red dot. Uses a CR1632 battery. And one of the things I love about it is that the battery comes out of a side tray there, so you don't have to remove your optic to change the battery and re-zero it, which is a pretty sweet feature. It's got 12 brightness settings, 10 daylight, and 2 night vision. And it's a small optic, and it was designed for concealed carry guns, more something along the lines of this size. But I did a lot of research, and because I wanted to be able to co-witness these sites and save a little money there, I decided to go with it, and I'm very happy with it. It does have a little bit smaller window than like an RMR or a 507C or something like that, but I haven't found that to be a problem at all. As long as you have a good grip in your gun and you can control the recoil, you're not going to lose the dot in your window with the 407K. Trust me, it's worked great for me. So besides the optic, the slide work, the other big change since episode 1 here with the trigger is the TLR-1 HL from Streamlight. Now, I had initially had this Defend Tech light on my M&P. It's a cheaper light. It's been reliable enough and it worked just fine. It was a local Idaho company. I wanted to support them and try out their product. But the controls on it are not super intuitive. You have a button up here to turn it on, but then you have to actuate the other side with your support hand to turn it off. And then if you hit that again, it goes to the strobe feature, and there's no way to avoid that. It just cycles through those two. So if you turn your light on, turn it off, and then go back on, you're going to be in strobe no matter what. And to me, that didn't make very good sense tactically. So I went with a real dedicated light from a trusted brand that, you know, has the experience to back up their products. And this is the Streamlight TLR-1 HL. HL stands for high lumen, and it's a 1000 lumen pistol light, and it is extremely bright. It is as bright or brighter than either of the lights that I have on my AR-15s here. And the old light on this one says 1250 lumens. I tested them, and this 1000 lumen Streamlight is actually brighter than the 1250 Olight. So I am very impressed with it. It has a really long throw, and the controls are just great. So it's got this these paddles here. Push it up there for momentary on, push down for, you know, to stay on. But if you push up twice, then you get that strobe feature, and you can go up and straight down and keep it on strobe if you want. Now, strobe is something you really only want to use, you know, to disorient someone, basically. So I don't find myself using it all that often, but it's a nice feature to have. You do have the option of locking out that strobe feature so it won't do it if you want to. It's just a fantastic light. It also comes with different keys for your rail here. It has one for a standard 1913 Picatinny rail, which is the one I used. It has one for a Glock rail, one for a SIG P320, which, as far as I could tell, was the same as the 1913 rail. I tried it just to see. Don't really see the difference there, but it does include that. It's got another one too. It's got a few. So anyway, fantastic light, great optic, fantastic slide work. Let's go up close a little bit, and I'll show you guys this stuff a little better. So the firearm is clear. Anyway, you can see really right here the details of the slide work that they did. I would have loved to have spent some more money and gotten some windows or just some other fancier stuff on there. They have tons of options at NCEngravers for slide work that you could do, and maybe in the future I will do something like that, whether with this gun or with another one. But what they did do was they did the cut for the optic, and you can see it mounts nice and deep in the optic, so it sits low to the bore. And see if I can line this up. You can see there that you can co-witness your iron sights with your red dot right through it. And so that was one of the big reasons why I went with this 407K. And I've been really happy with it so far. I've had it out to the range a few times, put a few hundred rounds through it, and I've been really happy with it. The mount's good, you know, it fits nice in here. The other thing that they did was the Cerokote, and this is Midnight Bronze. And I am colorblind, so it was kind of hard for me to pick the color that I wanted for the Cerokote. I looked at burnt bronze, and that looked really good to me, but I wanted something that was going to be custom, but not too flashy, you know what I mean? So, being colorblind, I just finally decided to kind of roll the dice and pick. I went with Midnight Bronze, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. The finish on it is even and perfect all across the entire thing, and yeah, I'm just extremely happy with the job that they did. So I absolutely recommend NCEngravers. And as far as this optic goes, see if you guys can see the dot in there. It's a 6 MOA dot, and I know the camera doesn't do it justice. It's kind of a big dot compared to what I'm used to. I use 2 MOA dots on my AR-15s, but I actually like the big dot. It is very easy to get extremely fast target acquisition. And for the distances that I'm using a pistol at, it's as accurate and as precise as I need it to be. Now, as far as the weapon light, the TLR-1 HL, these are those controls I was talking about. So if you see on your strong side, push down for constant on, up for momentary, up twice to have it strobe, or up, down, whoops, if you want to have it, you know, constant on strobe. And then it does the exact same thing on this side if you want to use your support hand or if you're left-handed. It is kind of a bigger light, you know, it's definitely wider than the gun. And I'm definitely, you know, I had to do a little work to find a holster that would fit the M&P with this light, with the optic. I did find one, and it is on the way. So as far as holsters go, I already had a couple holsters for this firearm. I had this outside the waistband holster that actually came with the gun in a whole Smith Wesson M&P kit. Obviously with the light, it's not going to fit, but even before I got the light, it didn't fit with the optic. Now my plan was to Dremel this out and make it work, and I was going to do the same thing with my IWB holster, because obviously that doesn't work with the optic either, but this doesn't work with the light either. So basically, these two holsters are useless to me now. I do have one coming, but it's like 2 weeks out for some reason. Not exactly sure why, so I am holsterless as far as this gun goes. Until then, still have holsters for everything else here. But as far as a holster that's going to fit the TLR-1 and the optic, I am still waiting on that. I'll show it to you guys when it comes in. But just want to talk about this whole package here, because I feel like the build series, the customization of this M&P is, at least for now, it's done, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. The optic makes the gun that much more shootable, and it was already a fantastically easy gun to be accurate with and fast with. It's just that much more fast and accurate with the upgraded trigger and the red dot sight. Because with a red dot, you can be target focused. All you have to do is look at your target, lay the red dot over on top of it, pull the trigger, and as long as it's zeroed correctly, that is where your bullet should, you know, your point of impact should be. With iron sights, you know, you have 3 planes to focus on: the target, the front sight, and the rear sight. You have to line up your front sight in your rear sight on top of the target, focus on the front sight so that your rear sight and your target are a little bit blurry in order to shoot accurately. And your brain has to do all that work. You could definitely train yourself to make that happen automatically. And it just takes a lot of time at the range. But I gotta tell you, putting a red dot sight on it, God, it makes all the difference in the world. And I feel a little spoiled now. I might be putting red dots on every pistol I get from this point forward. It really is that nice. As far as the light goes, any defensive handgun, specifically home defense kind of handgun, should have a weapon mounted light on it for positive target identification. And you know, most of the things that might happen where you would need your firearm probably going to happen at night in the dark. So you want to be able to properly identify your target, because you don't want to point your gun at something you shouldn't be shooting at. You are responsible for every bullet that comes out of your firearm. So you better make sure that no bullet is pointing at something that you don't want to hurt or destroy. That is very important. I am a big proponent of weapon mounted lights on defensive firearms. So really, really happy with the Streamlight. You know, if you don't quite have the budget for like a Surefire X300 or something, this Streamlight TLR-1 is a fantastic option. I'm extremely happy with it so far. The Holosun makes great optics. This is kind of unique to put the 407K on a full-size gun, but as I mentioned before, with the ability to co-witness the stock iron sights, I'm very happy with this combination here. The only thing I might do in the future is to get a threaded barrel in order to run this thing suppressed, or maybe even try out a comp. I've never used a pistol comp. Not so sure I'm that interested in that yet, but you know, I'm willing to try just about anything. So if I do that in the future, I'll be sure to let you guys know. 115 grain full metal jacket, M&P 2.0, the Holosun 407K.
Way to go, man. You broke the target.
Which might not be zeroed yet.
We could be getting some deflection with that glass.
That's true. I feel like I'm right on the scale then.
Yeah. Come up a little. Try to get the next paddle up. There you got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you liked this content, please drop me a like. If you have used either this optic, this trigger, or this light, or you're just a fan of the M&P, please let me know in the comments. If you use a different combination of things, or if you have customized your own M&P, drop me a picture. I'd love to see that. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Check out the link below for the Patreon. It's got tons of content on it now. Also, there's going to be a link for my Amazon affiliate account, where I will have, you can buy this light and this optic off of Amazon, and it's as good of a price as I've seen anywhere. So if you click that affiliate link down below, anything you buy off Amazon within the next 24 hours gives the channel a little kickback, helps out with the cost of ammunition, new firearms, gas, everything that it takes to make these videos happen. So I would really appreciate that. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I love you guys. Until next time, from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.